Hello. In this video, you will see how to register the firewall to start working with it. When starting a firewall straight out of the box, it is always configured with the IP address 168,168,168 and we can access it via HTTPS. The first login is with the admin user and password, and the first thing the firewall does is ask us to change the password, meeting minimum security requirements. Once we have changed the password, we can continue with the login and we will reach the administration console. The firewall offers us access through the configuration guide. Let's go to the manual configuration by clicking here. The first thing we have to do, especially with a TZ80, is register the firewall. And for this, the firewall needs an internet connection. So let's go to the network interface configuration, and here we see that by default X0 is configured with the IP address to which we have connected and X1 assigned in zone 1 by default with the DHCP client, and we see that they do not have the AC. Let's connect the cable to X1. In X1 I have a router that will give me an IP address. There it is. From this moment on, the Firewall has an internet connection and therefore we can continue with the registration process. During the registration process, the FW asks us for my SonicWall email account and a password. We enter both. The next thing it asks us for is two-factor authentication. We enter the code and click on register. From this moment on, the firewall is registered. When refreshing the screen, this window appears in which the firewall offers us the possibility of configuring the automation of firmware downloads that is checked by default. Here we can select whether we are going to download only the critical upgrades or all of them, and if we also wanted to download them. If we do not check to download them, the firewall will not download them. We would have to do it manually. We can also make the firewall automatically install these firmwares, and by default it does so on Sundays from 4 to 5 in the morning, although we can modify this schedule and set the day and time that best suits our needs. Let's check that this window isn't shown anymore and click OK. And with this, we have the registered firewall ready to start. Let's configure the administration section, and here we're going to change the name of the firewall. The default firewall name is the serial name. The serial number is the MAC address. Let's change the firewall to back to basics. And we can force it on the next browser refresh. We'll see that the serial number no longer appears at the top, but instead we have the name of the firewall on this web page. We'll see later what options we can use. Here I recommend that we modify the administration logout to something sufficient so that the firewall doesn't close the administrator session and catch us by surprise. Another thing we can do in the next, fourth tab of this page, is to modify the ports that are used by default for both HTTP and HTTPS. And below that we also have the port for SSH in case we access the firewall through this protocol. In this case we're not going to change it and we'll leave it as it is by default. Let's make sure that the firewall time zone is correct. And here we're going to select GMT+1. Europe. Let's click OK. And right now the firewall has the correct time and date. And with that, we're done setting up the firewall and we can continue with the configuration. And that's it for the video. As always, I hope you found it useful. You can write comments or questions in the YouTube box. Thanks.